Let's do a little concept work. There's a term diegesis. Diegesis in the context of film studies, looking at TV shows and movies, is narrative, plot. It's the stuff that the characters know is happening, the things that happen to them. Non-diegetic events, non-diegetic stuff, are things that we, the viewers, would see, but that they would not. So like a soundtrack. And presumably a character talking directly to camera, like I'm talking to you, is in that sort of breaking the fourth wall mode, is some kind of paradiegesis. Right? One of the characters is aware of it nominally, but it's not really part of the story unless sometimes it is. You can tell I watched a lot of Moonlighting when I was a kid. I'm getting interested in levels of diegesis because I think a lot about stories that are like making of stories. I've written some of them here at Wired. We run them all the time. Other places do too. You know, behind the scenes of your favorite TV show or movie. That's another kind of paradiegesis, right? It's another narrative. It's a story of people trying to do things, and the characters are aware of what they're doing, but what they're trying to do is make this other narrative. So I guess if you were doing levels, you could have kind of hyperdiegesis, which would be stories that other people tell about the narratives, and hypodiegesis, or maybe that's metadiegesis, narratives that explain the structure of the narrative. You know who's really good at this stuff is reality TV shows, unscripted, because they'll combine all different kinds of narratives all in one. They've got the things that actually happen, the diegesis, but then also people commenting on them from outside, and those sort of I'm not here to make friends confessionals, and then they'll have shows that are on after the show that talk about the show, and then the press, of course, covers things that happen on the show as well. It's a diegetic knot. I'm interested in this because I'm interested in doing magazines better. So what I've gotten interested in the past few years is the meta-diegesis of making television shows and movies. I've been reading a lot of scripts, and I've been reading about how scripts are made. You know who was cool about this was Ron Moore, the guy who ran the reboot of Battlestar Galactica. He used to podcast and blog, and at one point he actually just recorded one of their writer's room sessions. And I learned, I hadn't known this until that point, that they were creating their shows in much the same way that we create our big magazine packages. There was a lot of brainstorming, there were people trading ideas. I didn't know there was a room like that. Well, now you can listen to something like the Nerdist Writers Panel, which is run by a TV writer, a guy named Ben Blacker, who with his writing partner Ben Acker does another podcast, a live show called The Thrilling Adventure Hour that I also listen to sometimes. And on Nerdist Writers Panel, he has TV writers come on and just talk about how they work on their various shows. And often there's a show that I know backward and forward because it's, you know, be 3-4 writers. So then I get that narrative level as well. And I've also had Ben and Ben on the other podcast that I do here, the audio one, the storyboard. So now we are just in a diegetic minefield of narrative layer upon narrative layer. I'm doing this because I like learning how to read scripts and because I like TV shows, but also because I'm trying to learn how to do magazines better. I'm not very good at reading scripts yet, but I am learning some structural tricks. And a lot of what we do here is establish structures, try to figure out structures, not so that you would be able to tell what we were doing, because that would be amateurish, but so that the stories are a cooler read. I'm trying to figure out what lessons that drama writers have, and here's a meta-diegetic level from their narrative, what lessons they can teach my meta-diegetic level here at the magazine. Will it work? I don't know. It's a cliffhanger. Check it out. Diegesis.